afternoon. Welcome to EDLM 807, Leadership in Human Resource Management and Teacher Professional Development. My report is on Human Resource Development by John E. Wilson and Strategy and Training and Development by Sue Balderson. Section 1 is on the role of learning, training, and development in organizations. Human Resource Development is a title which represents the latest evolutionary stage in the long tradition of training, educating, and developing people for the purpose of contributing towards the achievement of individual, organizational, and societal objectives. Unfortunately, along with its partner HRM, or Human Resource Management, it has attracted a certain amount of criticism for its insensitive depiction of people as replacement parts, serving the mechanistic requirements of the organization. So first, let us define several terms like training, education, development, and learning. For the first term, training is defined as a planned process to modify attitude, knowledge, or skill behavior through learning experience to achieve effective performance in an activity or range of activities. The purpose of training is to develop the abilities of the individual and to satisfy the current and future needs of the organization. CEDEFOP, or the European Center for the Development of Vocational Training, defines vocational training as an activity or program of activities designed to teach the skills and knowledge required for particular kinds of work. Training usually takes place at workplaces, whereas education takes place at educational establishments. Training normally has an immediate application and is generally completed in a shorter time scale than education. On the other hand, education pertains to activities which aim at developing the knowledge, skills, moral values, and understanding required in all aspects of life rather than a knowledge and skill relating only to a limited field. The purpose of education is to provide the conditions essential to young people and adults to develop an understanding of the traditions and ideas influencing the society in which they live and to enable them to make a contribution to it. An example of a training is the one given by TESDA. For example, 6 months training on refrigeration and air conditioning, basic electronics, and the like. But for education, it is usually kinder to grade 12 until college or tertiary levels, or to postgraduate studies. Education is considerably broader in scope than training, and this is perhaps illustrated by the considerably longer definitions above. It also has a less immediate and less specific application than training, and is often perceived as being delivered in educational institutions. Education is regarded as encompassing knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Let's go to development. Development is defined as the growth or realization of a person's ability through conscious or unconscious learning. Development programs usually include elements of planned study and experience and are frequently supported by a coaching or counseling facility. Handy defined learning as a natural response to coping with change and stated that I am more and more sure that those who are in love with learning are in love with life. For them, change is never a problem, never a threat, just another exciting opportunity. Learning can occur in formal settings such as university or organizational training centers, but it can also occur less formally. Nadler distinguished between what he called incidental learning and intentional learning. Intentional learning is when we get enrolled in schools in order to learn. But is also such a thing as incidental learning. It is also considered learning which occurs during the course of doing other things, such as reading, talking to others, traveling, etc. Learning has limited value unless it is put into practice. According to the Victorian philosopher and naturalist John Ruskin, he remarked that what we know, or what we believe, or what we think is in the end of little consequence. The only consequence is what we do. So we put what we have learned into practice. In short, Nadler summarized these three terms. Training is learning related to present job. Education is learning to prepare the individual but not related to a specific present or future job. Development is learning for growth of the individual but not related to a specific present or future job. Garavan also investigated the nature of training, education, and development and came to the similar conclusion that they all involved learning. They are seen as complementary components of the same process, like the enhancement of human potential or talent. The term human resource development was introduced to the 1969 Miami Conference of the American Society of Training and Development, or ASTD, by Leonard Nadler, and he subsequently provided a definition in 1970. Gallagher described HRD, or human resource development, as an omnivorous discipline, incorporating over the years almost any theory or practice that would serve the goal of learning in the context of work. HRD is concerned with improved performance within the work environment. HRD utilizes the theories of change and how this relate to the organization. Human resource development is defined as an organized learning experiences in a definite time period to increase the possibility of improving job performance growth. It is the study and practice of increasing the learning capacity of individuals, groups, collectives, and organizations through the development and application of learning-based interventions for the purpose of optimizing human and organizational growth and effectiveness. In short, HRD refers to learning at the individual, group, and organizational levels to enhance the effectiveness of human resources with the purpose of achieving the objectives of the organization. Let us now proceed to strategic HRD. It is a primary means of sustaining an organization's competitive edge. It serves a strategic role by assuring the competence of employees to meet the organization's present performance demands. Strategic HRD can be viewed as a proactive, system-wide intervention, with it linked to strategic planning and cultural change. The only source of competitive advantage is the ability of an organization to learn more quickly than others. However, there are also factors discouraging HRD because sometimes it is seen as a cost rather than an investment. But as school leaders, we have to remember that people, of course, are far and away the most important resource in any company or educational institution. There are three main areas which human resource development is involved, namely individual, occupational, and organizational development. Individual development is an area which can be exceptionally broad and addresses such areas as skill development, interpersonal skills, career development, etc. The second one, occupational and group development. Training and development needs frequently occur for groups of workers, such as the need to integrate cross-functional workers through a team building program, or for informing and training employees about new products and services. The third is organizational development. This category encompasses the whole organization and may involve the introduction of a new culture or ways of operating. The following four areas incorporate elements of both HRD and HRM, which tend to have significant degrees of overlap. First is organizational design. The primary purpose of this area is to integrate the human operations, organizational structure, and systems for the delivery of products and services in an effective and economic manner. Second is job design. Each job should have a clear role within the overall organizational structure. That's why we as school leaders, we have our organizational chart in our respective educational institutions so that there will be a clarity of roles and responsibilities. And we hope that it is stipulated in your faculty handbook or manual. The third is the human resource planning. The purpose of this area is to assess the human resource requirements of the organization. And fourth is the recruitment and staffing. This is the inflow and outflow of people within an organization, which is a dynamic process and needs to match the requirements of the organization within its operating environment. That's why in the school, if we lack teachers, it is the task of the HRD to look for educators and other staff who will be working with us in our respective schools. The two areas of HRM and HRD are not mutually exclusive and form a close symbiosis to support organizational objectives. First, we have the reward systems. The value of a person to an organization will to some extent influence the reward they receive. That's why the HRD staff would always bear in mind the rank and file of the educators and the staff, and the salaries would often depend on their educational attainment. The second, employee assistance. The educational institution and the admin should be concerned for the employees' well-being. That's why in other schools or educational institutions, they have the wellness program. They offer Zumba after office hours or school hours. They used to play games, volleyball, and other things that would help them be relaxed from all the stress that they have during the day. They also have the mental well-being. That's why the guidance counselors would usually welcome them if they need counseling. The third, employee relations. The main factors involved with this area are the interests of the employers and employees. And fourth, research and information systems. Management information systems are an essential tool for the efficient running of an organization. We now proceed to Chapter 2, which is on strategy and training and development. Personnel are now widely regarded as human resources, with the implication that like other resources, they are to be valued and carefully managed. Even if we have the financial resources, we have to really be concerned and we have to value our educators and staff whom we are working with. The amount of financial resource available for the training and development of employees is not unlimited, necessitating decisions about. That's why, as school leaders, we have to really develop our human resources or our educators and staff whom we are working with. According to Armstrong, human resource development, or HRD, is about enhancing and widening the skills by training, helping people to grow within the organization, and by enabling them to make better use of their skills and abilities. That's why in our government, we have the CPD, or the Continuous Professional Development. In this way, our educators and staff will be assured that they are being enriched in their respective fields, especially in the field of education. Let's go to strategy and strategic HRD. But first, let us define what strategy is. Strategy is defined as the direction and scope of an organization over the long term, which achieves advantage for the organization through its configuration of resources within a changing environment to meet the needs of markets and to fulfill stakeholder expectations. Armstrong suggests that strategic management deals with both ends and means. As an end, it describes a vision of what something will look like in a few years' time. As school leaders, we have to be visionaries. We have to have a clear vision where our educational institution is going. As a means, it shows how it is expected that the vision will be realized. So how will you achieve that vision for your respective educational institution? Strategic management is therefore visionary management, concerned with creating and conceptualizing ideas of where the organization is going. But it is also empirical management that decides how in practice it is going to get there. That's why as school leaders, we have to always bear in mind the vision and mission statement of our respective schools. Because once we are clear with the vision, we will know where to bring the school, the students, the educators, and the entire educating communities. And how do we achieve that? It is stipulated in our mission statement. We have to be clear that this is the vision that we want to reach. That's why we are being asked to come up with 3 to 5 year development plan so that we will know how to achieve this vision and make it a reality. Johnson and Schultz suggest 3 main elements to strategic management: strategic analysis, strategic choice, and strategy implementation, which are the purpose of strategic analysis is to form a view of the key influences on the present and future well-being of the organization. What opportunities are afforded by the environment, the opportunities and threats? What are the competences, the strengths and weaknesses of the organization? That's why, if you remember in our class on system analysis and strategic planning, we are being asked to be familiarized with this SWOT analysis, because it is there that we will know how to make strategic planning once we're able to name our school's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. On the other hand, strategic choice is about identifying the choices open to the organization in terms of, for example, products or services, generating strategic options, and evaluating and selecting options. It is easier for us to have the strategic choices once we are able to have the SWOT analysis, because it is only in being able to name our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that we will be able to address the issues that our schools are facing at present. Strategy implementation is concerned with the structure and systems needed for chosen strategic options. It is termed as a strategic architecture. It is easier for us to have the strategic implementation once we are able to have the strategic analysis and strategic choices. That ends my report. I now give the floor to Mrs. Silerio for the continuation of our report. Thank you so much for listening.